Hey YouTube, it's Biliv here, and today I'm back with the third episode of my Team Career Mode on F1 22. And today we've got the third race of Season 1 in Australia. And before I get into that race, I've got to do the Pirelli Hot Lap. But I think from now on, there's no point me showing you them because you've seen what they look like. So I'll just show you the results at the end of it. So I was only able to manage to get the bronze award on this one, unfortunately. I blame the wet weather. But that means we only get 250 acclaim and 25k. So just before this race, I want to show you our performances sitting at the minute. And we are sitting just behind McLaren. They have overtaken us in performance. But as you can see, we've got a lot of developments on the car at the minute. So hopefully these will all come in soon and our car will be a lot better and jump up the order. Now I just want to quickly show you the championship standings before this race. These are the results of the first two races, and that is everyone who currently has points. So Max Verstappen leading the championship by only a point, even though he's got a first and a second, and Leclerc's got a first and a third. Leclerc's got the 2 extra points from both fastest laps in both them races. So he's only 1 point behind Max Verstappen. And as you can see, everyone else down here, no points yet. So maybe that'll change today, and hopefully it'll change for us, because other than Latifi and Stroll, me and Piastri aren't doing well at the minute. And Piastri's actually ahead of me in the championship, because he finished both races. So I'm hoping for a much better race today for both of us. But anyway, let's get into qualifying for this race in Australia. And here we are, just crossing the line for our first lap in Q1 then. And I'm one of the first people out on track, because it says there's a chance of rain in qualifying. So I wanted to get out early and get a lap in early doors, just so I can be sure that I've got a lap in before it starts raining, if it is going to rain in Q1. And as I come across the line after this first lap, it's going to be a 1:21.1. So let's see where that puts me after everyone's done their first lap. So everybody's done their first lap now, and I'm sitting 14th, so that's not too bad, but I'm pretty sure I can do a better time than that. So as you can see on the map there, everyone's in the pits. The circuit's clear for me to get a second lap in here, hopefully before the rain starts, if it's going to. So let's see how I do on a clear track. So in this second lap here, I'm gonna make myself a good gain of about 6/10, and that's gonna put me up to 11th. So let's see where that'll put me at the end of qualifying. So at the end of qualifying, I'm actually knocked out in Q1. I thought that time would be enough, but I've been knocked out by essentially 2/100ths of a second, basically. So I'm out in Q1 for the first time, but only just. I'm out by the skin of my teeth. That is really unlucky. But I guess let's go straight into the race now.
It's race day here in Melbourne as we continue with what could shape up to be one of the best Australian Grand Prix ever. Here we are then at the Albert Park circuit, 3.28 miles of bumpy city streets, but not a lot in the way of elevation changes. The circuit goes all the way around the lake, taking in 14 corners. Note the DRS zones into turns 1, 3 and 13. They'll offer our drivers a number of good opportunities to overtake. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Hamilton, George Russell and Perez, Fernando Alonso, Bottas, Magnussen and Mick Schumacher, Ocon, Gasly, Lando Norris and Tsunoda, Vettel, Joe, the rookie and Lance Stroll, Ricciardo, Albon, Oscar Piastri and Nicholas Latifi. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Something that I noticed when it was showing the grid line up there is that Latifi's starting from the back with a penalty, but I'm pretty sure he qualified last anyway, so I'm pretty sure it's not making any difference. Anyway, it looks like medium to hard is the preferred strategy here, so that's the one we're going to be going with yet again for the third race in a row. I suspect that's the one we're going to be going with for most of the season, to be honest. So let's get into this formation lap. So we've managed to get ourselves purple on the grid here, which is pretty good, so let's hope we can get a good start. There we go, the lights are on here. Let's see if we can get a good start. And I'm off the line, and I have got a decent start on Joe, but the cars ahead of me are pulling away a little bit by the looks of it. I think that's Ricciardo trying to go down the inside of me. Let's try and stay out of the way of the pack. Almost hit someone. Tried to go around the outside, but I've fallen back a little bit here. Ricciardo's oh no, Stroll's overtaking me. I thought it was Ricciardo. But we've dropped a place at the start here, and Ricciardo's trying to make another move on me. Try and keep him out, and I think I've just done it, but he's still coming back up the inside. And he's still sticking with me through here, and I've lost the place to Ricciardo now, so we've dropped a couple of paces at the start of this race. Now we're going to drop another place as Albon goes past us, so we've had an awful start here. I think that's Latifi trying to move on me now. And it is, and Latifi's gone round me, so I've had an absolutely awful start to this race. I've dropped from 16th or 17th on the grid down into last position, so I've got some places to make up again here. We've got my ERS on a bit, gonna try and make a place back up on Latifi here. Gonna dive down the inside, and I've made it past him, so that's one place I've earned back. Oh, Ricciardo with a little bit losing the back end there. And it's meant Albon's had to slow down, and it's given me a chance to attack him. Gonna go on the outside. Gonna brake a little bit early. Albon's dived down the inside. Almost made contact with Ricciardo. Then Ricciardo's had to pull across in front of me. Gonna try to go down the inside of both of them here. And I've pulled off a double move there and overtaken Albon and Ricciardo. So that all came from Ricciardo having a little issue, which meant Albon slowed down. And then I was able to capitalise, keep up my speed and overtake them both. So I've moved myself up into 18th here after my poor start. I've recovered a bit. Oh, I've gone very wide here. I'm in the gravel. I've had to slow right down to keep a hold of it there. And now Latifi's going to move past me, or Albon, one of them. And we're going 3 wide into here, I think. I've made contact with one of the Williams on my left and then the other Williams on my right. I had nowhere to go there. They completely sandwiched me. I think I made contact with them both, but there's absolutely nothing I could have done there, I don't think. I was completely sandwiched in between them. Albon's got DRS on me, and he's gaining on me here. He's going to try and move down the inside. Give him the room on the outside. Give him room on the inside even, but he's stayed behind me. But he's going to have DRS down here again. He's going to try and make a move on me. I'm going to take the inside. He's going to go for the outside. Going to try and stay ahead of him here. And I have done. I've squeezed him out. I'm really hoping I've got out of DRS range of Albon there. I'm at ERS on that whole straight. And I know I was at about a second at that DRS activation point, and by the looks of it I think I just about managed to keep out of DRS range, so just need to keep going like this now and stay out of the 1 second range of Albon. Oh, I've gone really wide at that corner there. I'm hoping it won't give any advantage to Albon behind me, and it has actually given him a bit of help. He's getting very close to DRS range, so I'm going to need to use ERS down here just to keep him out of range, and I've just about managed to do that. One issue with this track is that the ERS recharge, there really isn't much, so you have to use it very sparingly and only in situations where it's absolutely necessary to use it, like it was then.
Caution, caution.
The yellow flag's up ahead. Wonder what's happened up here.
We think they've got one more stop.
They reckon Ricciardo ahead's on a 1 stop, and he started on soft, so he's going soft to hard or soft to medium. That is very bold on a 1 stop there, but he said I gained 6 tenths in the last lap, although I've lost a bit this lap, so I was catching him, but I'm not anymore. So Ricciardo and Stroll are both pitting here. So that's moved me up into 17th. So hopefully I can keep putting some good laps in on these mediums and they'll stay behind. Now Vettel's pitting as well. He started on the softs too, so I'll go ahead of him now.
That last lap was a 1 minute 24.8.
I just saw that Hamilton was out of the session, but I asked my engineer to talk over that, so I'm not going to find out what's happened, but yellow flag's up ahead, so I assume he's pulled over here. Yep, and it looks like he's had a mechanical failure. Didn't even manage to limp it back into the pits. Just checking the edit if I set the exact same lap time as my previous best. Yeah, I think my tyres are starting to go off a bit now. I was finding it very difficult to get around that last corner there. I went pretty wide. So I'm just coming in for my pit stop now, and by this stop I've managed to get about a 3-second gap to Albon, so I've done decent there. And Schumacher was about 3 seconds ahead of me, so I was sort of keeping pace with him really, so let's hope I can get a bit of extra pace on these hards then.
Dual pit stops, let's go.
So Vettel's going to pass me here. I don't know if Stroll is. I'm going to brake early because of the cold tyres. went into Stroll there, but there's nothing I could have done about it. And I've got a warning for that collision, but I literally could not have done anything about it. I was already braking before the braking line came up. Going to have to brake early again here because of the fresh hards. Stroll is going to try and move on me, stay behind. Going to bring up my tyre temperatures here. I've gone past it. Let's see what they are. They're still very cold. Stroll trying to go down the outside. Not quite managed it. And I'm going to get my ERS on all the way down here. Even on the cold tyres, a straight line, I'm still going to be quicker. Or a slightly curved line like this is. I'm still going to be quick with my ERS on. And my tyres are starting to warm up a bit now. So hopefully going into this corner, I should be okay. Felt a little sluggish through there, but not too bad. I think my tyres are up to temperature now, and I'm ahead of Stroll and Ricciardo. So Latifi and Piastri are both in the pits, so I've gone ahead of both of them and gone into 16th here after that pit stop. So if I can keep my positions, hopefully that's where I could finish. But Stroll and Ricciardo will be on me the whole way. I'm going to use ERS all the way along here again, just to try and get a big gap to Stroll as possible. As big of a gap to Stroll as possible, because then hopefully, if I can keep that gap, I won't have to keep using ERS to stay ahead of him. And that'll keep him out of DRS range for now, at least.
There appears to be an issue. We're currently investigating.
Oh, for God's sake, not again. Don't do this to me again. I swear to God, if it's another DNF.
There seems to be an issue with our ERS. Good news, it looks like the fault's been fixed. Let's go.
Thank God for that. So ERS is offline at the minute. Or it might be offline for the rest of the race. Hopefully it's not, because I might need it at some point, but at least we're not having to retire.
So the issue seems to be fixed, but we'll keep monitoring it from our end.
Okay, my overtake button's come back online now, so hopefully that was just a little bug in the system and I've got it back now so I can use it again. Right, I'm going to get my ERS on, at least for a bit of this straight, because I want to try and catch up to Vettel ahead of me. And if I keep using my ARS down here every few laps, I might be able to do so. Might be able to get in within DRS range and then use the DRS to catch up instead of having to use the ARS. And I think he's out of DRS Major Schumacher as well now, so he won't have that to keep him ahead of me. I think Schumacher has now overtaken Zhou though, so Vettel will have DRS on Zhou probably.
I've got some information on Schumacher. They've got an issue with their car. They're going to be slow.
So that's another person with an issue then in this race. I think he's the one ahead of Zhou that I could just see at the front of that queue of 3 cars in front of me. So hopefully he might retire and then it will bump me up a place. But then again, Zhou won't have DRS on him, so he won't be able to pull away from Vettel. And I need Vettel to not have DRS.
Okay, clear.
The yellow flag behind me. Not sure what that's about.
Caution, caution.
Yellow flag's ahead now. Is that Schumacher going slow? It is Schumacher. He's pulled off to the side. Maybe that's Schumacher retiring there. It is. Schumacher is out of the session. See, I'm a lot closer to Vettel now. Coming out of that section, I'm almost under a second. I'm approaching a second behind him. So hopefully I can get in DRS range pretty soon. Using my battery all the way along here again. Vettel is only 1.1 seconds ahead of me. So hopefully with all the use of my battery here, I can get to within DRS range at the DRS activation point. And I think I will have it here. So it means going down this straight, I now have DRS on Vettel. So hopefully this will continuously keep pulling me closer, even though he has DRS as well. But I'm so much closer here at this point now. Now at the start of this straight, I'm already under a second behind him. So I know I don't have much ERS left, but I'm going to use it just to get as close as possible to him going into the DRS zone. Gone a little bit wide coming out of there, so all my work down that straight with the ERS has been undone, I think. He's just pulled away from me there. I'm going to hold off on using ERS on this lap because if I can stay close enough to him, I'll have it for the next lap, hopefully, so I can get a bit more of a gain next lap. I've got a better exit out of that corner this time, so I'm a lot closer to use DRS here. Not going to be able to catch him, but I should get a bit of a slipstream and get closer to him than I have been before, and I am a lot closer now. There's only a car length or 2 between us there. Right, going to use ERS down this straight here to get really close to Vettel to hopefully get right behind him on the next straight with DRS. I am visibly gaining here. You can see how much I'm gaining. bit poor into that corner. And I've cut the corner a little bit on the way out, but it means I'm closer to him. But it's not really paid off. Oh, I'm so much closer to him coming out of that corner, but I've gone over the curb, and that has really hindered me there. I was so close to him, and then I went over the high bit on the curb, and it's dropped me so much further back from him. So as you can see, Carlos Sainz here on lap 26 in the lead after getting the lead after the pit stops. But Charles Leclerc here trying to go around the outside at the end of the DRS zone. Is he going to make the move? He does manage it, and Charles Leclerc now retakes the lead after starting on pole.
Okay, some information on Ricciardo. Okay, they're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car. So
another person having an issue in this race. I think that's the fourth one. And that's Ricciardo in his home race, so he won't be happy about that. I really need Zhou to pull away here just so Vettel won't have DRS on him. So I think that's what's the main thing that's keeping Vettel ahead of me here. Again, I'm going to use ERS all the way down here. I need to make as big a gain on Vettel as possible to try and get really close to him. And you can see how much closer I am to him now. I was very close there. I am really close now to Vettel coming out of that corner. Going to get ERS on. Going to get in his slipstream. I'm going to go for the move here. And it's... I thought it wouldn't be able to work, but I've put the pressure on Vettel and he's locked up there. So as the pressure was on, he's tried to defend and he's gone too deep, and I've made the move on Vettel. And now I'm up into 14th place. So into the last lap now. And now all I've got to do is just keep Vettel behind me for this lap. He's very close now though. Going to keep him wide here and try and go on the inside. Try and squeeze him out a little bit, and I have done. I've kept ahead of him. Now here's where it's going to be difficult to keep him behind, I think, because he's going to get very close to me. So I've not got much ERS. I've used it all down here. And he might even get to me before the braking zone. He's not. So I need a good exit out this corner, and I have got one. I've gained a little bit on him out of that corner, but I've got no ERS to use. He's gone to the inside. I was going to defend the inside, but I didn't get a chance to move there. But he stayed behind. He's not been able to get past me. So as long as I don't do anything drastic around these corners, I should be able to beat him in the drag race to the finish line. Not too close to me, so get my ERS on what little I have of it, and that will take me to the finish line. So I'm going to come home in 14th place in this race. So a pretty good effort there, I think. I had a very poor start, qualified in 17th, I think, and then I managed to make a couple of places after having a really poor start. And then the pit stops and other drivers behind me being slow have helped. And I'm able to get my way up into 14th here. And once again, we see a podium of Leclerc, Sainz and Verstappen with Leclerc on the top step. Imagine my shock. So that's how the rest of the top 10 finished out. Norris doing a lot better than Ricciardo. Ricciardo was behind me, and he actually finished in 18th. And then Piastri finishing 17th, so not too bad from him and pretty decent from me as well. So I think we did a lot better in today's race, personally and as a team. And as you can see there, we are so close to level 5 on the Acclaim. We are a hair's width away from being able to get our first extra sponsor, which is sorely needed because we need to bring in some money. So unfortunately, my powertrain upgrade that I was doing has failed, but it's 185 to do it again and it won't fail, and it will come before Imola, so I might as well do it. I think the next upgrade I'm going to do is streamline suspension arms, but I've got to wait for the front nose upgrade to finish first, so hopefully as long as that doesn't fail, I'll be able to do this. So we've got this vehicle PR filming event, which will give me 500 acclaim for the team, so hopefully that'll be enough to get me to level 5 on the acclaim. But you'll see it's lowered the department morale, so I'm doing this funded team event, which will give me a bit of resource points and hopefully raise the morale back up. I'm actually going to do them the other way around though, because I don't want to lower my morale just before upgrades are coming in. And that front nose upgrade has completed, so that means I can do the streamlined suspension arms now. And that's a pretty decent upgrade, so let's get that on the car, hopefully. Although it is going to not be ready until Spain, so I've got to go 2 races without it. So now I've got a marketing department event here, so let's take a look at this. So they've asked me for my rival here, and at the minute, I'd probably say Daniel Ricciardo, because, well, he finished behind me in the last race. And McLaren's car is pretty similar to ours, and Lando is the better of the 2 McLaren drivers, so I think Ricciardo is probably my closest rival at the minute. And my monocoque structure chassis upgrade has completed, which is a very good news, because that was a massive gain on the car, so that leaves my chassis in a pretty good place now. We haven't moved up at all in terms of overtaking other teams, but we have a much lighter chassis now. So that amount of acclaim has helped me get to level 5. So now I can get a secondary sponsor here. So out of all these sponsors, Distort is the best one for me here because completing all the practice programs is one of the objectives I'm most likely to do, and it gets me a good bonus, and the weekly income's pretty decent as well. So I'm gonna go with Distort here as my first secondary sponsor. So I've now got some Distort logos on the car in with the Echo one, so it's not all Echo, so just a little bit of variation, but I've still got more Echo ones because it's a bigger sponsor and it's the main sponsor. And now I have my ignition system upgrade before Imola, so you can have a bit of extra power in the engine going into this race. Before the upgrade, we had the second worst powertrain on the grid. Now I've got the third worst powertrain, so we have done a bit of improvement there. And those upgrades that we've had between races, the powertrain one, the chassis one, and the aero one, they've meant that we're now the 5th worst car on the grid instead of the 3rd worst car before the last race. So those have helped us, and they've jumped us up quite a bit here. So it looks like we're in a good place going into Imola. But anyway, that's the end of this episode. We've had a much better episode this time than we have in the last two. We haven't had anything go wrong today, so we've just been able to do a clean race and get to the end and actually have decent racing against other cars and able to get ourselves a good position. So hopefully we can build on from that and look towards the points. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you want to carry on watching this series, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.